Hey everybody, welcome to another Journey More Often podcast. My name is Gary Moore of Journey More Often, and with me I have some pretty steep competition when it comes to bourbon tasting. I have Gabriel Rubilar from the Chadsford Winery, and I have Davide. I forgot your last name, Davide. Creato, yes, and he's from Penns Woods Winery, and we're going to be doing a bourbon tasting. Actually, we're going to be tasting a lot of stuff that you see here on. We've picked some classics. We've picked some stuff that nobody has heard about. But one of the things, the first thing is the public service announcement. Whenever you drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and get angry. Don't drink and mess up your life. So, the key is to drink and have fun, but not be rude and obnoxious and all those things that nobody likes in a drunk. Anyway, so along with that, I actually have a DD, so I don't have to worry about it. Gabriel lives here.
Oh, this is my house. So.
Yeah, this is his house. This is a great room, by the way. It's a great room.
Yeah, he's staying.
Aside from the red solo cup, and Davide's staying overnight, so you can't get on our case by this one. Anyway, so we're gonna start talking about bourbon and some of the distilled liquors that we have here. We're gonna tell you what we taste in those. We're gonna tell you what you could expect if you were going to drink those. And by the way, we're just having a great party. There's a bunch of guys out here. There's probably about 18, about a dozen and a half people, and everybody brought one bottle, and we're just doing some bourbon tasting. And it's just a bunch of guys hanging out doing some bourbon tasting. This is something that anybody can do. So
there's a lot of people behind that.
Yeah, we've got quite the crowd. This is actually not the normal thing. We normally don't have people actually paying attention. Like, nobody's paying attention normally. Like when we were at Penns Woods and Chadsford, and we did our tipsy tag-alongs there, we had people walking by and going,
"What are they doing?"
Yeah, what are they doing? Anyway, so, all right, so what are we starting with? Do you want to just start left or right and go?
Yeah, I think that.
All right, so again, we've got some classics. We got some stuff that people haven't normally heard of. All right, and so this is the Basil Hayden. It's a classic.
Okay.
All right. We're going to go left to right, right?
I'm going to be sharing what I'm thinking.
Oh, can we get... Is that an empty glass over there?
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe use that for his. Maybe no.
I can use this one as a...
Yeah, use that one as a...
And I'll pour it down.
There you go. There you go. All right, so we're doing the Basil Hayden. Does it have a year on it or anything?
I don't see it.
All right, artfully aged, James Dean Distillery. All right, this is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Okay.
Definitely one of my favorite labels. I love when there's more to it, on the outside.
Right. And for those who don't know, there are some tags that you see. So bourbon is specifically from Kentucky. If it says bourbon, it has to come from Kentucky. Just like if you're drinking Scotch.
Yep, Scotch whiskey.
Scotch whiskey, it has to come from Scotland. Now, what's interesting, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Japan recently came to a deal with Scotland, and they agreed to create the whiskey in Scotland and then move it over to Japan, and then they finished it in Japan in barrels over there. And so they can still call it Scotch whiskey. So, that was kind of an interesting scenario. All right, so the Basil Hayden. Let's get to that. Wow, this is really smooth.
Very smooth.
This is incredibly smooth. What do you think, Dave? Is it smooth or not? Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah, I think I don't know what the alcohol content of this, but I would believe it's around 45, or I feel it pretty hot.
Yeah, I think they're required to put it on here. Yeah, it's 40% alcohol, so it's 80 proof.
Okay.
There you go.
Good call on that, because you can. So some bourbons. I mean, there's a bourbon here somewhere that's 110.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Hey. So we people are just walking in. So it's a lot of fun. So
I mean, it's interesting how the flavor of this bourbon comes out. I feel like the nose is very light and smooth, and your mouth it does have a lot of sweetness and roundness.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. The barrel sometimes it could be like overdone in some of them. This is not the case. I feel it's
It's very balanced.
oh yeah,
Let's say the wood and the toasted.
Yeah, it's not overdone. Like it's not a heavy toast. It's I feel like it's a medium or even a lighter toast.
Yeah.
And that causes you to have that really nice flavor, but on the other hand it's not overpowering.
On the other side, we were just talking or having this conversation with some of the guys upstairs. Is some actually they do enjoy to bring the alcohol concentration a little bit lower, just a little bit water, and so you don't have to go through that like because 40%, 80 proof, it's a lot, right? And sometimes if you dilute that just a little bit, the bourbon, the whiskey, or whatever you're having, it becomes a little bit more alive, and the aromatic
More approachable.
So, yeah, it can actually enhance the flavor profile when you do that. That's exactly right. So there's no. Right now we're drinking this what's called neat with no water, no rocks. Rocks are.
But it's a good temperature.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
Just like.
I feel it improves if you kind of like keep it in your hand and move it around a little.
Like a good cognac.
I do like it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a cognac thing. Yeah. You think?
I mean, there's so many.
So going back to this label, I mean, it has 3 labels, a metal band. I mean, it's pretty elaborate how they put this packaging together.
And it's classic Basil Hayden.
Okay.
The way they do it.
Can we talk about price point, or is no?
I don't know.
I'm not actually familiar with the price
I don't know
point.
if it's closer to 60.
Yeah. Who brought it?
Support? Can somebody run the price on?
I don't think it's on there.
I
think it's. Yeah, I would say around 50 to 60.
Yeah.
So and if you think about it, here's what's interesting about bourbon and Scotch. When you're buying one, it seems like it's expensive.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to how fast you normally drink a bottle of wine versus what you're buying, okay, we're going to have somebody give us the price point. What's your name again? Andrew.
Wait. So we have Andrew, the winemaker of Grace here. So he's going to be joining us in a little bit.
Oh, that's great. So I need to talk to you.
My brother Dimitri's leaving. He might join us too. But
all right, so we just, Andrew did a little pop, intro. Yeah.
No service. That's
no service. That's because you're.
We are in a cellar right now.
You're in the.
Gotta be.
Yeah. No, he deliberately cuts off service in this room so that you can enjoy, whatever it is that you're drinking.
What stays in this room? It stays
in
here.
this room. Whatever happens, stays in this.
Whatever happens.
Well, yeah. So.
No,
so the whole point of that, what I was saying is that when you have a bottle, even if you're paying $60 for it, right? It's like a bottle of wine. You're gonna, if you pay $20 for a bottle of wine, which is easy to do, you're gonna have how many bottles of wine equivalent kind of thing, because you don't just drink this like you drink wine. You sip it. You work with it. You let it ruminate in your mouth. You get all the flavors.
So for who may know or don't know how bourbon is made, what's the main ingredient that goes through fermentation and distillation?
So
is that a question? You ready?
No. Is that a question?
Okay.
It should be on here.
I mean, what's in?
I think it's about the type of the concentration of different grains that we're using.
Okay, so it can be corn or.
Yeah.
All right, now we're in
really
trouble.
Good making wine.
Oh, now you can tell that we're just regular guys at this point, because we, none of us know what. So some are made out of corn, some are made out. They're different. What do you call them?
Grains.
Grains. Yes,
Yeah.
different grains. So, usually it's on the label. Bourbon, I feel like. Yeah. So somebody is. Yeah. So
we're gonna be judged.
yeah. So. Text it to us. Yeah, 60 euro.
60 euros.
60 euro.
I was not
all right,
that
yeah. Yeah, no, you're pretty close.
Yeah.
All right,
Grazie. But no, I mean that's a lovely wine.
Yeah, this actually, you can't go wrong if you're going to do Basil Hayden for sure. And it does have, so it tells you right here on the one label, it tells you that it's got a finish of dried fruit,
Okay,
which
yeah.
does kind of make sense based on what we were saying.
Raisin.
Slightly sweet, but not like
Too sticky.
like dessert.
No, yep, definitely
So-
has the, that dry, the sharp end, which I like of it.
Are we picking up all the background noise?
Yeah, we probably a little bit.
It's really good.
A little bit, but most of what you hear is going to be what
Okay.
you hear here. I mean, you can pick up a little background noise, but you can't. These are
Very professional.
omnidirectional mics, so you're getting most of the
The direct
what people
voice.
hear. Especially if we're talking, they're not going to hear any of the background noise that we hear when we're talking, because we can hear the background noise outside of the headphones. All right, so should we roll on to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on.
I would like to do one more, and then I'm gonna open up the mic to my buddies. They're waiting in line there.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. All right. We got extra peeps.
Yeah,
They,
and
they,
I
can,
just-
they can go over now. We do,
yeah,
for me.
there's no limit.
Yeah.
There's no time.
Yeah.
Come on.
You wanna come over?
All right. So we have Andrew from Grace Wining. We have Dimitri.
Dimitri. All right.
All right. Yeah, keep sliding. Oh, you're going to have to let him out, though.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, you're going to have to let him out. Okay, so, little tactical maneuvers here, everybody, because we're going to give some other people an opportunity. Yeah, this is definitely smooth. All right, so we're going to go into the second. Uh-oh.
Accident.
Yeah, careful with that.
Got it? I think we're good, right?
Yeah, I think we're okay now.
I think so. This was this way. It got all turned around.
Okay.
All right, so.
There we go.
You okay?
All right, there you go. This is how it works when you do a live production. Things happen, and it just happens.
Always
All right,
smooth.
so what are we working on next? Who's picking? Am I picking? All right.
I think we want to do the Japanese one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's throw that in there.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. I'm not familiar with this one. Nico whiskey?
I think it's Nikki.
Nikki?
Yep.
From the barrel. Okay. Oh, so this is. Okay.
It's actually, I think it's 50% ABV. It's pretty strong.
Oh,
but,
sorry.
Oh, thank you.
And you brought this, right?
I did.
All
A little
right.
biased.
All
A
right.
little
That's good.
biased.
That's good. You probably have the one that I brought next. So, yeah. All right. Let's do a little cheers here because I feel like you got to do cheers, right? You got to do cheers.
Cheers.
All right. All right. So now we got. Ooh. Ooh. Even a little smoky going on there.
Yeah,
So this is Japanese, right?
Yeah. So what do we know what type of oak barrels they typically? I said oak, but do they typically use oak? What
Yeah,
do they
it's-
typically use in Japanese aging? So we know that.
I'm not
Yeah,
too
it's
familiar.
it's going to be oak. I once told the story of I bought just for the fun of it. I bought a bottle of wine that was aged in a pine barrel,
Yeah.
and it tasted just as you would expected.
Yeah.
It tasted like pine sol,
Well, something I've
and
heard about
that didn't work out.
like I've heard the use of, cherry. Recently, there's also like a New Zealand oak that is getting popular. There's something from Chile called a Langa, I think.
Yeah.
That's popular. So I was. It just has such a unique taste. This one that I'm very interested in what it's aging
Yeah.
history.
And it really does matter. When you're doing the finish, it really matters because you get it started and then you want it to finish well. Because if you put all that flavor profile together, you don't want to ruin it with whatever barrel you're throwing it in. Some people, if it's a steel cask, that's fine. But on the other hand, if you're putting it in oak, you want to make sure that the oak you have it in is one of those that has a good flavor profile once it has a chance to finish. So, it's one of those things where you don't think about it when you're drinking it until you actually drink it. And then you're like, ooh. And I love, this one actually has a smoky flavor to it.
I was almost going to say like a spiciness to it. Relative to, so I was drinking Weller's earlier, and that's much, it just seems to be more on the fruitier side. But this has such a difference. It's almost, it's definitely not Scotch by any stretch. Like it doesn't have that peatiness.
Right,
It kind of tends to go more in that earthy, spicy,
but
notes.
But it's really interesting because for something with that much flavor, it's also not harsh.
Yeah.
It's pretty smooth.
It's pretty floral. Light.
Yeah. And so you're not getting this, some of the Scotch whiskeys that you have are really strong.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad, they're just strong. And so sometimes you have to get used to that. This one here, you could pick up the bottle, just roll in and, start drinking.
It's dangerous. It's deceptively dangerous.
It's very deceptive.
That's what's scary. It's 50%.
Is it? Okay, it is 50% here. Let me see that bottle again, please.
40.
Sorry about that.
So, yeah. Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Try not to cause any more accidents.
So that's what's kind of...
Oh, is it you that caused it in the first place?
Almost
all
definitely.
right. Party foul, right? All right. Well, as long as the mic's still working, I guess we're okay. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So, what's beautiful about this is it has, English and Japanese. So, all right, how do you pronounce it again, Dimitri?
I think it's Nikki.
Nikki. Okay.
Nikki by the barrel.
Nikki whiskey from the barrel.
Yeah, so funny, in 2021, Japan, I think, changed their standards of what is whiskey and what is not.
Yes.
So technically, I think it's a Scotch. But, that could be, you probably know.
So we'll probably see in the future if they switch it over, based on how they produce it and how that works. So because, it's one of those things where if they're doing everything that they're supposed to do, then they can call it Scotch,
I think one thing as we sit here and kind of take in the aromas more, take in the taste a little bit more, I'm really noticing more of the kind of sweet honey on the nose. I don't get that on the palate as much, but what I find really unique about this is how complex this one specifically is. And we've named 10 different flavor profiles really in here. I bet someone else coming down and taking a sip of this would be able to name 5 more, 10 more or something. And I think when I'm in the wine industry, and usually my sign of a good, really high quality wine is when there's a ton of different flavors and everyone gets something different out of it.
Right. And so that's the whole thing we've talked about, in both Tipsy Tagalongs and American Wine Journey. We've talked about how different people taste different things. Mm-hmm. And just because you don't like a particular somebody else probably loves it.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I know sometimes it can be difficult where I am making a wine that's not specifically a style I like, but I have to still abide by, I guess, for lack of better terms, the rules of what makes this wine supposed to be good. And, say Chardonnay as an example. Like a Chardonnay should taste like this and make it that way, even though that's not your style.
The consensus of what people like.
Exactly.
Well, no, there's actually formulas as well.
Yeah.
So, in the wine industry, they have specific formulas. If you want to call something, a Merlot, it has to be,
Well, so that's more like the location base. So like a Burgundy, a Bordeaux, a Champagne are the classic examples.
Right.
A Rhone Valley, Hassab, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, if it's a red, or some variation of that. So, I love to find all those kind of funky rules.
But I think to your point, when you do taste a lot of different flavors, and as you go back and taste more flavors, you're like, wow, this is it basically broadens the spectrum of who's going to like it.
Oh, that's a really very
right.
Good point.
So when it's going to be a more global appreciation for whatever that is. Okay, so and I'm going to be honest with everybody. When I thought Japanese, because they're not known for this, sake and that kind of stuff, but they're not known for whiskey. So I'm like, all right, well, now I'm intrigued, but I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. I have no idea, right? So now that I've tasted it, I'm like, I might get a bottle next time I'm,
Well,
going.
I think this is a perfect example of some of the fantastic products that are coming out of locations that a lot of places are not considered the known areas. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to the wine industry for a second, but Pennsylvania can make some really fantastic wines.
Yes.
And obviously with Pennswoods, Chatsford, hopefully I can consider myself with Grace a part of that. But Japan making really high quality whiskeys, and it's not Scotland. It's not Kentucky. And it's fascinating to see what other locations can do.
So I think the key to that. Sorry.
No, I'm saying Canada, Ireland, different.
Yeah. So you're looking at the tried and true locations, right? So when you're tasting something from a different location, I think sometimes they go the extra because they don't want to be that, it's from Japan, and it's not really, it's okay. They give it a good shot, right? Yeah. But no, they go the extra, and Japan always does anyway.
Or else it won't be taken seriously.
Exactly. And so, and I think that's how the wines have grown in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Even though wine kind of originated in, I'll say U.S. wine originated in Pennsylvania because Ben Franklin brought it over, but or he started the first winery kind of thing. Yeah. But, the reality of it is Pennsylvania hasn't been known for wine.
In fact, it's actually been much better known for its spirits. I don't think I saw it here today, but Dad's Hat is a fantastic whiskey company. They're always winning awards.
Yeah.
Wiggle, which is I believe out by the Pittsburgh area, are always winning awards. I brought a Pennsylvania one. I think it's called Resurgent, but I'm not sure. Oh, what do we have here?
This is Springhouse Spirits.
Oh, yeah.
From Parksburg.
Yeah.
All right, these guys, they're just fun. I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing, okay? These guys are just having fun, and they're killing it in the market. Now, the location is out in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna pour myself some, but the location, used to be, I think, at the farm where they produced it, and then they moved it into Parksburg, and Parksburg's not known for a lot of things. It used to be a spot on the train, going by, but the reality of it is these guys, they've put Parksburg Main Street back on the map. Yeah. They're really good at what they do, and I'm going in where the bottle ended up.
Right here. I'll pass it back.
Yeah, I'll take a little bit of that too.
Yeah, so I'm because what you'll find is they did it. They figured it out. They did it, and that's the whole thing. What you're saying is that yes, Pennsylvania, at one point was known more for distilled liquors. And still is to a degree, if I can give you that back. Sorry.
One of the interesting to go to about Grace Winery is that our barn, which is from the 1750s, we don't have an exact date. We know when they bought the property in the 1730s, and we know that the British took over the property in the Revolutionary War in 1777, I believe, or 76.
So wait, George Washington slept there, didn't he?
And George Washington did not sleep here. Although there is an interesting story about the bar we can talk about later. But, but the barn was actually a malting barn. So and the reason that the owner found this out by traveling to Scotland, and he saw a barn. He had no idea what the barn that he owned was originally used for, and he traveled to Scotland, saw a barn that was just like it, went over there, and was like, "What is this? What is?"
And saw the setup,
and
same setup.
He's like, "Oh, it's a malting barn." Essentially, I'm probably going to butcher it. Someone would probably say that I probably have it slightly wrong, but main thing is they would lay the grains out on each floor. We have a giant furnace or oven or fireplace essentially that would turn all of the grains into malt. So our barn, we're in the wine industry now, but we started off in the spirits industry and distilling, selling those malts off to breweries and distilleries. So yeah, it's just it has such a heavy presence in this state.
Right, and that's I've been to Grace Winery. A couple of times actually. You guys have a Christmas thing that
Oh,
you
yeah,
do,
they-
and
yeah.
that is a madhouse, by the way. It's like crazy.
Tell me, I have
it's
to work it.
It's so well visited that you have trouble finding a parking space sometimes, and they have like fields that you can park in.
It's what I say. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
And it's
we're doing
stuffed
good.
with vendors on different floors, and they sell wine while you're perusing whatever the vendors are selling. So that's a pretty fun thing to do.
So this one's really.
Yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about this one.
So what do you got? Let's go for it.
Yeah, what are you getting,
Different than the
Dimitri?
Japanese one, I'll tell you that.
Well, let's hope so, right?
It's darker visually, right? I'm getting more oak,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
more
yeah.
earthy, oaky,
I will-
smoky.
So yeah, it's probably the description's on there. It's the Doc Windle from Springhouse Spirits, and their website's usually pretty good about the description of how, and they have different. The different names are set up for different reasons. Doc Windle actually was a doctor in Parksburg back in the day.
wow.
So what it says on the back of the label is that it was aged in new American oak barrels, and I
Yes.
think you definitely get that new.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a difference. So
Is it a
Yeah.
rye? Is it rye?
I don't think so. It doesn't taste as sweet. Oh, high rye.
yeah,
I'm tasting
there you go.
I
There you
should-
go.
I should
Look
put
at
my foot
that,
in my
Dimitri. Like he's like, oh yeah. He's
Well, the funny thing is,
Dimitri's asleep, or he's like, I'm just sitting here. I'm just kind of like, but that's right.
Let,
taking it
let
in.
this guy.
Yeah, no, it's
It's
good.
like no. Let this guy on my left babble on, and then he comes in with an.
Well, you work at a winery, so like Gabriel, that's kind of your expertise.
Oh yeah, and I don't know anything about whiskey.
But it's a similar
No,
craft.
but the oak.
Yeah.
You know how there's new oak, there's toasted oak, there's light, medium, heavy toast.
Oh, and there's light, medium, then there's light plus, then there's light plus plus, then
Right.
medium plus.
Exactly.
Yeah, it almost gets ridiculous.
The gradations are ridiculous, and then you've not just got American oak, you got French oak or Belgian oak, or there's just so many oaks, and
Well, so that's why I'm really interested. This is new American oak. It said on the bottle, and it's such a stark contrast to the Japanese wine. Japanese whiskey. It's still very good, but in its own right. And
Yeah.
the oak definitely comes way more on this. While
this flavor profile is in your face, not in a bad way. It's just really bright and there. I mean, it hits you.
absolutely,
Like the first two, they were like really smooth and they got you on the back end. This one here, like when you first put it in your mouth, it's there.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yep.
And it's like, ooh, this is interesting. So you're looking at it and going, okay, so you can. So we've done 3 so far, and they've all been different flavor profiles, which is great.
So what is the price point on that? Do you know? I'm just curious.
So that is actually what is
That
that? It's
does play a factor.
It's 375 milliliter, right?
yeah. So it is a smaller package.
Yeah, and I want to say that's like 30 or 35.
Okay.
Could have
So
been.
it'd be
Could
about
have been
60
40, yeah.
for a full bottle.
Yeah. So
And we did
not
look up
cheap,
that.
yeah.
We did look up that.
the Basil Hayden,
Basically,
yeah,
that was
and
about,
that turned
it was
out.
60 euros. So I don't know why it was in euros, but it was 60.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Gabrielle, it's okay, man. We're good. We're good.
You want to get back on? Do you miss the seat?
We've gone through 3 so far.
I get you a newbies for the fourth.
Yeah, we can keep going for a little while.
It's a party here, yeah.
It's definitely a party.
I think-
I'm running out of the glasses, so I'm going to have to down some of this at some point.
Well,
Yeah.
I think one thing I can talk about that's not specifically about the whiskey is, I work in an industry that's obviously unbelievably traditional in the same way that whiskey is, but what I love is I'm looking at this table and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bottles here, and
Yeah.
each one looks very different than the next, and that uniqueness has set itself
Yeah.
on the shelf. The marketing there is
Big time.
It really allows it to express the character of the place that it is. The Japanese one looks like a medicinal bottle from the 1800s. Another one that's coming up later. It's fantastic. It looks something from the Vatican almost.
Yeah, right.
That's
It's
a good one.
he brought the cork. I can tell you that right now. That's a
That didn't come with the bottle.
that didn't come with that
Well,
bottle.
each,
Well, it
each
may,
one is
may
different, right?
It may have.
Isn't each horse different in each?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
bottle?
this
yeah,
is
but that one may have
Okay.
come with the cork.
Plans.
But what's great about this kind of scenario is that you get a bunch of people, doesn't have to be all guys, it just happens to be all guys here, but you get a bunch of people and everybody brings something. We probably have 20 different whiskeys and bourbons or whatever here. And you're not going to get that in, like, you can go to Total Wine and, you can get a couple of tastes, but you're not going to get a lot. You can get wine, you can get like 3 wines in but you can't, how do you taste it?
Yeah. No,
And everybody's brought something that they think is. So here's what gets interesting. When you have one of these events, everybody's like, "Well, I can't bring something that's like terrible."
I'm not,
right?
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, right. That's the key.
Or you can't bring the thing that everyone's already had. Yeah, I wasn't gonna show up with a bottle of Jack Daniels. Nothing wrong with Jack Daniels. It's just that everyone's had Jack
Dude,
Daniels.
if you're bringing what is it? The Blue Label.
Is that
Johnny? Yeah.
Is it
Johnny
Johnny
Walker.
Walker?
Yeah, the Blue Label of Johnny Walker. Yeah, it's like $350.
Oh yeah.
For that,
Well, I wasn't bringing
puppy,
that.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't-
So
I
if
don't
you're
like
bringing
this
that
drink
one,
much.
but on
But
the
you would
other
look
hand,
cool. You would look cool coming in with
yeah,
it.
you would look very cool coming in, and your bottle would be gone before the end of the day.
Very true. Yeah.
But you're getting these, and these are all good because everybody wanted to bring something to share and like, hey, this is what I like, kind of thing. And everybody brings one, and you get to taste the different ones when you go to this. So you can literally taste. Now you don't have to. We're drinking probably half an ounce, maybe each time. You can drink less than that if you want to just get the taste of whatever it is, And so that's the cool part about it is that you can get a taste of 20 different like distilled liquors in one shot, and then you don't have to pretend, okay, I hope I like this one. When you buy it at the store, you're not investing $60 in something you don't like anymore. You're buying Japanese whiskey that's smooth as heck, and
Yeah, I think one thing that's fascinating about this is that everyone's got to start somewhere, whether that's beer, wine, spirits.
Yes.
And I think a lot of this can be really intimidating to people coming in. And I whenever I'm in the wine, I always just kind of say, you got to start somewhere. Just start drinking, but drink a little bit with a purpose.
Yeah.
So it's like take a second. That first sip that you take, whether it's whiskey or beer, or what have you, that first sip that you take, really kind of think about it, and then just enjoy it after that. And then the next thing that's new, take a second, think about it. What's different about the last one versus this one, and then enjoy it. You don't have to kind of analyze every single one and go super deep unless that's what you're into. But take a second, and surely enough, not that long after, all of a sudden you will be a wine connoisseur. You'll be a whiskey connoisseur.
Because you know what you're smelling. What's on your tongue and what's the finish. You know how the finish works with what you're drinking, and so that's applied across the board. So you don't have to. The beauty of that is it's not just wine. Everybody thinks it's just wine, but it's everything.
Absolutely.
And whatever you're drinking that has some sort of flavor profile to it, you want to, like you said, you want to think about it. So when you get it, you do this smell and you say, okay, so this, has this kind of, okay, I like that. It's a floral or it's smoky or it's whatever it is. And then once you taste it, then you're like, and the first thing you want to do is just sip.
Yeah, and you kind of nailed it on the head. Like, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
You might love something I don't like. You might think it's okay when he loves it.
And that's the whole point of a tasting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just to find out what you like, but to also find out what you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. So that's the dark side of the tasting. Nobody wants to admit that they don't like a wine. Yeah. So half the time when you're doing a wine tasting, people don't pour it in the bucket. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Well, the common phrase is, "Oh, I don't want to waste it." It's like, well, yeah, but you don't like it. Like, you don't have to keep enjoying something that's bad. And I'm not hurt by that.
It's terrible. Yeah, exactly. Because if you do a tasting of like 5, whatever it is, 5 whatevers, and you like number 4 the best.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody likes number 4. All right. Anyway, so if you like number 4 the best, then you're going to buy a bottle.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's the one I want.
Yeah. I think one of my biggest issues so we do blending trials and we sit down and it sounds a lot. It is very fun, and then you are unbelievably exhausted by the end of it. But it is very fun. But one of my issues is I can't have someone sitting down with me that won't be honest with me. And they will sit there and they'll be like, "Oh, this is good too. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is fine." Yeah, it's like, but I need you to pick it apart. I need you to be unbelievably critical.
Right.
And the things that you might not even really dislike that much, you need to hate it. You know. So it's like, or else the best product is not coming forward.
So,
in the end.
and it's not fair to the vintner or the distiller. It's not fair to them if you're not honest.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my wife likes to tell the story, and she's 100% correct on this. Gabrielle brought in some wine.
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you think?" So she sips it, and her first thought was, "This is awful," right? So
Honest.
So she didn't want to say it. She
she
goes,
didn't say
"Well,
it,
and he goes, "It's terrible, isn't it?" He goes, "That's because I haven't done this to it yet." Okay, so it's still in the process, but he wanted her to be able to smell and taste what it was at that moment before he finished the process. And then he gave it to her after the process, and she goes, "This is a different wine." And he's like, "Nope, it isn't, but it is."
Yeah.
It's the same barrel, but it's, we were able to maneuver it into what it tastes like today.
I would love to do one. Have any of you guys done one like the Kentucky Bourbon Trails or anything?
It's on my bucket list.
I have not.
Yeah.
So I haven't either, but one of my best friends happened to do it with his wife, and they went down there. They went to this giant facility and had thousands of barrels in it. And he was telling me that the difference between their highest, their $200 bottle and their $15 bottle or whatever it costs was essentially where it sat in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Closer to the walls, it was your cheaper bottle. It was closer to the center, it was
Yes.
your Pappy Van Winkle kind of thing, whiskey.
Which we debated. One of us debated bringing Pappy to it today.
Yeah,
Like,
if you had it, that would have gone missing real quick. But the fact, I would have loved to see. I would have loved to taste through their stages, taste through what is their $12 bottle of wine that's sitting on the periphery right around the edge of their facility.
Yeah.
And then the one and then kind of work my way up to the core, or vice versa, go the opposite way, and notice the differences of what's different about it. Because I think it's a temperature that's just seeing that. Unique.
It all goes together. You can buy that. The cheaper bottle, and it has its own complexity. It has its own, ability to, this is really good, But then when you buy that that top end, when you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's that, it's almost a guttural feeling that you're like, wow, this is really good.
I mean, that's what I thought
Yeah.
about that Japanese one.
Yeah.
I mean, this Pennsylvania
That was
really good too.
I love that. That was the sleeper. That was the surprise.
was,
Yeah, I brought it. I don't want to be biased, but I think that was my favorite.
Yeah.
Blanton's
So far. All right. So
Blanton's is great too.
we
say
should
that.
bring out another one. So where are we looking at? Pick one, Andrew, over there.
Oh, all right. So I'm only picking this one because I've already drank it and I know it's fantastic. But let's go with
Just the Weller.
Weller.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
Sorry
Weller.
about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
I was
right.
drinking this before I
Let's
hopped
talk about
on. I will say I put a little lemon zest. Orange zest in this one.
Oh, so you kind of almost made it into a
Yeah, I mixed it
like
a
a Sazerac or a what do you call it?
Well, and I will have to be honest. That Sazerac
Just
is
a little
probably-
product placement with tipsy tagalongs here. Just,
Okay.
So
Marketing, okay.
there's like a TT going on there.
Yeah, one thing I have to say is that Sazerac is probably one of my favorite mixed cocktails.
Yeah. Oh,
If it's
I
on the
didn't do-
menu,
yeah.
I get it. So maybe I'm a little biased, but and of course I'm just getting a ton of orange in this now that I.
Yeah, it's like an old fashioned or a Sazerac kind
Yeah.
of feeling to it. Yeah. All right. So the smell is so unassuming.
Citrus. I'm picking up on the nose.
This is a Special Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
So that's our second Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey.
That you added to that in the bottle?
Say again?
Did you say you added something to that?
No.
No, to
He
my
added
own
it in his
glass.
Oh, in
glass.
your
In his
glass.
glass. He did the orange shaving.
Yep.
Yeah, this is really, again, smooth.
All right, so here's something interesting. We were just talking about Pappy Van Winkle on the back of their label. They say Pappy Van Winkle eventually merged Weller's namesake company with the APH Stitzel Distillery to form the Stitzler Weller Distillery. This delicate bourbon with hints of caramel and honey honors one of the America's first whiskey pioneers.
There you go.
I'm getting honey.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
And those are, and you'll agree. So when you're putting your blend together, when you're doing your Chardonnay or your Cabernet Franc or whatever you're doing, when you do those, you taste them. You throw it out there. What the flavor, what you think you should taste. Sometimes you taste it. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
That's what the interesting part is. And the honey, you can taste the honey. They've suggested it. You can actually taste it, but sometimes you just don't taste it because your taste buds are different than somebody else's. So don't hate yourself if you don't taste honey when you drink the Wellers. But when you're trying to bring that forward and find out what it is you like about it, that could be one of the reasons. And that's what I love about. So you always want to. You want to throw two more people in? All right. You always want to make sure that you're just paying attention and you read the label, for crying out loud, right? I mean, the labels sometimes give you a lot of insight that you never knew.
One of my favorite things is that when a person is not as diverse into their tasting habits, a lot of times it's just that they need to be told what that flavor is. They're like, oh, what is that? I recognize that. What is that? I just can't put my finger up. And they're like, oh, that's vanilla. And you're like, that is vanilla. Now I get it.
Right, right.
They get it all.
They tasted it, but they couldn't identify it.
I mean, that's so much of the time.
What is it? Is when they do the blind taste testing, and they, you can't see it, and you can't hear people talking, and they just put the food in your mouth, or and you're like, oh, that's cucumber. No, that's green pepper.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to do that flavor profile, and sometimes you need a suggestion.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to be prompted, if you will. And then once you taste the honey, then you're like, oh, I also taste some vanilla, on the back end, and then so suddenly your senses have been stimulated to actually try and figure that out.
It's a really fun puzzle, and that's how I look at it when I do these tastings. Was the puzzle, and specifically for wine, because I can know the history, like how it was built. Tasting it, I can put together like what the winemaker has done. I can't do that with whiskey. I'd love to get to that point to figure out what exactly blend this possibly is. Is it rye? Is it wheat?
Yeah.
I don't have those capabilities, but I'd love to get there.
So I'm curious. Would you? And you're the expert here.
No, not really. But I'm an expert in drinking alone. But go ahead.
Would you agree this is somewhere midway, kind of in between the Japanese one we just tasted and the last one we just tasted?
Yeah, definitely.
I think
yeah.
kind of a good.
I agree.
Really good point,
Yeah, we probably should have had this one before we had the last
good.
one. Yeah.
Very
No,
good.
it is good. It is good. This one almost it's all, no, I don't want to say it's semi-sweet, but you could easily have this with a good dessert. It would.
Honey, I think I keep.
It would match up. Yeah, it would match up, and I think that's the honey profile in it. It would match up with a good dessert.
You're absolutely caramel and honey, and that's really comes.
Which
really
means you could have like a really nice caramel bread pudding kind of thing,
And I think the
or the sticky toffee pudding at at the Whip, the Whip Tavern. Have you guys been there?
No, I
The Whip
haven't.
Tavern's amazing. Yeah. It's like a Welsh tavern in Pennsylvania. And the food is extraordinary when it comes to that. And I'm as you can tell, I'm a fan of those guys. But
It's on my list.
but they have the sticky toffee pudding. I could totally see drinking this while eating their sticky toffee.
They have the outdoor patio in the back.
They do. I love that.
They have a
outdoor
beef
patio.
on wick. They got like a roast beef sandwich, is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so
I'm a foodie.
So next,
Welsh
We'll be at
rare-
the Whip.
Welsh rarebit.
next one we're doing at the Whip. Is that
Maybe you have connections.
We could do. I actually do have connections there. So
Patio in the summer.
yeah, I definitely get patio in the summer. Now the main person I had connections with now works for Savannah Bistro, another of my favorite places.
Another
fantastic-
amazing
Because
place.
really good.
Nick at Savannah Bistro,
who's their sommelier?
he's
correct?
he's not. Adam's the sommelier.
Adam's sommelier. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's you want to talk about amazing. I mean, that guy's like crazy good
yeah.
when it comes to wine. He knows like literally. I won't say everything, but it's pretty darn close. And so they have, if you go there to drink a wine, they have phenomenal
I love
wines
the bar there.
But Nick's the owner.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And he's such a great guy, and anyway. So, but I could see this with I could definitely see this with the sticky toffee pudding.
What is the price point on that one? I'm just curious again.
I don't know. I
That's a
didn't
good
bring that
drink.
one, but
That's
it
a
was
really good drink.
it was a random one I pulled out of the selection.
The
large
Weller?
selection we have, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, the Weller.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to get tipsy tagalongs at Grace Winery at some point. Yeah, it'd be fun to like jump in the fray there.
I do have to say, so if I'm going for the three that we've
So
sat down
far,
and
what do we
tasted,
at? Okay.
I would say the Dock Window was probably the most unique in its flavor. Like it just, the barrel really came through. The Japanese one, Nika,
Nika.
I think.
Nika,
I'll never get it right.
Nikki, yeah.
Personally,
just
my
gonna-
opinion was I thought that was my favorite, but I think that this Weller is
It's
probably it's probably my
Yeah.
like I could have this almost every night.
See, and that's the point of having these having these tastings is that you find all these things that you like. And none of these are bad, by the way. I mean,
even had- I haven't had a bad
There's
one
not
yet,
even
yeah.
there's not even a question of that, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at all these great bourbons and whiskeys and stuff like that, and you're like thinking, oh, it just open that. What it does is it opens up your world.
Well, that's why I asked them, because I kind of want to go pick that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That is, I would say 1A, 1B,
sure.
but that,
Well,
one,
and
that
I'm-
one's phenomenal.
And I'm looking up like where the Springhouse is because
Now, see-
taking a trip to Springhouse Distillery, Springhouse Spirits.
They got
Yeah.
a Baker's Mark kind of candlewick.
Yeah,
this is-
and look for the. I don't know if they still have it, but they while we were there, they created a drink and they called it the Tipsy Tagalong.
I love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
And then in the real world, we would have actually used the labels here because they're labeled A, B, C, D, and we would have done a blind taste testing without the bottles. But that's no fun for you guys watching right now. But we would have done it and said, oh, okay, this and that. So I thought we had two other guys, but I don't think are they? Hey, Dave,
They're leaving us out to hang.
you guys ready?
Well, this has been really fun.
Andrew, thanks for joining the
Yeah,
podcast.
thank you for having us on.
Dimitri,
See you later. Yep.
thanks for being here, and we're gonna just keep going.
Try not to knock anything down here.
Yeah. What are you guys bringing?
Not knocking it over like I did.
So it's delicate. It's delicate to get in, but yeah, these guys are gonna just slip in here. Are you guys are bringing your own glass? Oh, you're gonna need an empty glass though. Well, if you're tasting and talking, you're gonna need it. Well, yeah, Dave has an empty glass.
I got an empty glass now.
Dave, slip in here.
All right.
All right, Dave and I know each other from 1723 Vineyards.
Yeah, don't hold that against me.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't know. Yeah, and they're a great vineyard. Yeah, take gentle.
I'm gonna mess up my hair now.
Yeah, let me just move this.
Left on the right.
All right, we're gonna go into the next one, and you have an empty glass,
Yep.
and I think. All right, I don't remember his name.
Mike.
Mike. Okay, can you hear yourself?
I can hear myself.
All right, you can hear
Kind of
yourself.
disturbing.
That's okay. It's all good. It's all good. All right. All right. You brought. Are you serious?
Red solo cups.
Wait, what'd you bring?
That's what we're down to.
Oh no.
Mine's empty.
So there's another set of these in there somewhere.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. Go. Do me a favor. Go through the game or through the what do you call it room, and in there's a black box right in front sitting on top of some stuff.
Okay.
In it. Just pull it out of the white paper. Open up the black box and pull it out of the white paper. All right. Anyway, so Dave and I are going to get started because what's his name again?
Mike.
Mike. You just told me like 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
All right. So
You're
we're
lucky I remember.
Dave and I get started. I think I'd like to try. All right. Hold on. This gets awkward.
It's okay. Bland. So which
All right.
bottle stopper we got?
All right. We have.
You know about
The
bottle
Blanton.
stoppers, right?
Yeah. This. Yeah.
There's a full set of them that
This is
show
a-
them in different positions, so you can actually collect the whole set.
For Blanton.
Yeah,
Okay.
the horse on the top there.
Right.
So it's who is that? Murbridge.
All right, hey man. Oh, he wants some Blanton. All right. We got how much? Good. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is how it works. This is how it works. So we stole the bottle off the table. So, the key is if somebody wanted to taste it. Oh, here. All right. So Dave, you get to go. All right. Wow, this is the smoothest so far. It's actually pretty good. I love the smoothness of it. Did you find it? Yeah, that's the box. There's another set in here, right?
There is something in there. Wait.
Yeah. So this is what we do. This is how we set up tastings. So now you get to see, how it actually works.
Sure.
It's a tasting set. All right, I don't think these are, yeah, they are, so, okay. All right, take that one out. No, put that on, put that here. Put that here, all right, and then
Whole thing.
there's rubber connectors. See those rubber connectors that are sitting on the ground there?
Yep.
All right, there's rubber connectors, take those off. And then you guys are gonna be able to taste. All right. So we're on the Blanton. It's the
Favorites.
finest bourbon in the world. Comes from a single barrel. Here, you got to throw some in there.
Okay.
I made Dave empty his previous glass.
Who is this winner?
Yeah.
Who is this winner?
Oh, I don't know. So apparently they have different bottle stoppers based on
The movement.
current events.
It's the movement of the. You can get ones with the horse in different positions of its gait. So this one's got all 4 feet planted firmly on the ground,
Gotcha.
which is rare for somebody who drinks a lot of bourbon.
All fours on the ground.
You heard it here. For somebody who drinks a lot of bourbon, it's rare to have your feet planted on the ground.
All four. Of them.
All four, yeah. Yeah, some of us,
0 for 4 is usually.
that's
the way it
when
is.
you're seeing double, I'm
Right,
pretty
exactly.
sure, right? All right. And sorry, we didn't introduce Mike, but we
Mike.
passively introduced Mike twice because I asked your name when you were out of the room both times.
Oh, okay.
Both times.
Yeah, and it
So
was the same.
yeah,
Right?
it's still Mike. Yeah, it's still
I was
Mike.
pleased I got it right both
Yeah,
times.
yeah. So yeah. My God. Anyway, all right. So what are we tasting here? Talk to me. Talk to me. No. What are we tasting? We're tasting the blend, but what is it that you're actually tasting? You're putting the Wellers back? You could have kept it, David. That's the other David. We have 3 Davids here, right? Oh no, we have 2 Davids and a Davide.
David.
Davide.
David.
Wow, this is definitely. Wow. So they even tell you here, they tell you the barrel number, tell you the Rick number. Now I will say this is a little bit more expensive than the average.
Yeah, it's
So you're going to pay more for this one.
It's been aged well.
Yeah, definitely aged well. Definitely, obviously, an oak barrel. I want to say it's light to medium toast based on the profile that we're tasting here because it's not like hitting you really hard. It's smooth. It's
It
bringing
pulls
you in.
through
It's bringing you in. So
start to finish.
yeah.
really
So from the time you hit the bouquet, Davide, what do you got? Okay, go ahead. It's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good. We got plenty of whiskey here. I'm pretty sure. We could make a call for whiskey if we wanted to. Yeah, it's all good. We haven't tasted that one yet, but go. All right. So, yeah. So from the time you smell the bouquet. Yeah, I got to be careful because if I yeah, go ahead, jump in. Take that one with you. Oh wait, yeah, take that one with you. We've already done that one. Thank you.
Delicious.
Yeah, so you're going to see everybody wants to taste everything. So we've actually stolen them from a table out in the other room, and we have not quite. We have about a third of the distilled liquor here. So we got to be careful. We don't take, and clearly we've taken too much from the table because they're coming and reclaiming it.
They knew that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, right. My gosh, yeah, that the Japanese whiskey. That was ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this, and then we'll have to wrap up soon. It's been almost an hour, which is great. Oh, not for you guys. Sorry though.
It's okay. I'm drinking whiskey, bourbon.
Yeah.
You can wrap up anytime you want. I'm still drinking.
Look next door.
And again, all right, that's the profile of the room. Is that you do what you do, right? And you're just having fun and tasting different stuff that you wouldn't normally tast. Right. Everybody brings their favorite,
thing, right? And we all have our kind of go-tos, the ones that we're comfortable with buying. I mean,
But how do you find another one that you're comfortable with buying, right? Like the Japanese wine was the sleeper, I think, of the night. Like some of the other ones, you're like, oh, they're going to taste good. But the Japanese wine, you're like, really? I never saw that coming. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Is the exploration to me is the real fun part. There's a base profile that most of them you'll be familiar with, but then each one brings its own little intangible there. That it's whether it's the mash blend, or whether it's the barrel age, or whether it's in the case of the Nikkei, it's obviously it's more Scotch style, so it's going to have that peatiness, that smoke.
Dave knows all about this stuff. Really? I did not know. I thought you were just in. I just thought you were into wine. I mean, clearly that's not. Yeah.
No, my wife and I actually really highly enjoy different styles of whiskeys. I've got a collection at home of probably about 40 different bottles.
Right.
And it's there's something for every mood, is the way I put it. Okay. So
right.
You've got your rye-based ones that have a spice, and then you've got your wheated ones, which are a little bit on the sweeter side. I even have one that's 100% corn. That's just
which one?
Oh, now you're gonna really press me. No, I don't recall.
See, we were having trouble with that earlier. Yeah. So you'll know.
Go ahead.
Bourbons have
to be 51% corn.
They're corn.
Right.
They have to have at least 51% corn mash. They have to be put in virgin charred oak barrels. They're supposed to be aged for at least 2 years.
Right.
They can't be put into the barrel at anything higher than, I think, 125 proof. And then if you do anything beyond that, you have to disclose it. Okay. Oh, and it also has to be produced in the United States. It doesn't have to be produced in Kentucky. That's something people don't allow.
Really, I thought I just announced that earlier that it had to be produced in Kentucky.
It's United States only, though.
Yeah.
So you can't have a bourbon.
So who produces bourbon other than Kentucky right now?
Oh, there's MGP out of Indiana is like a industrial whiskey / bourbon producer. So a lot of new startups will buy their stuff.
Okay, but it has to. All right, so it has to follow the protocol.
It has to follow the protocol.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So as long as it follows those protocols, you can call it bourbon. Okay. The whole reason that it was a Jack Daniel's is a Tennessee whiskey is because they actually filter it through charcoal afterwards, which breaks the bourbon rule. Up until that point, it's a bourbon. But then they cold filter it through a charcoal, and that changes it to a whiskey.
Dang.
Okay.
Now we're talking. See, this is some of the backstory that we're filling in at the end, right? So
you have to have us back.
So
right.
And if you do anything beyond that, like you'll see a double oak out there.
Yeah.
It's not technically a bourbon. It's a bourbon with double oaking. It's got to have. You have.
So
to
it started as a bourbon and it was double.
But the minute you put it in a different thing, in the second barrel of anything, it doesn't matter whether it's another fresh barrel or not. I believe.
So you've moved it from one barrel to another.
So a lot of times you'll have
Why do they do that?
a sherry finish. Well, because
Flavor.
yeah,
Flavor
the
difference.
flavor. What happens is most of you're going to get a lot of the profile you're getting is from the wood, right? From the charring of the wood. So you're getting the sugars, that the tannins out of those barrels. So after a time, you start losing the process. You start gaining more of the wood. That it's a bitterness that like Maker's Mark always advertises that they don't sell overaged bourbon. Like the sweet spot for them is about 8 years, and like in Scotch, you're gonna want like 15-year, 20-year scotches, okay? And that has a lot to do with the climate. In
Right.
Scotland, it's colder. Plus, it's usually done in an older barrel, a used barrel. So you got a combination of you're not pulling the heat in Kentucky and Texas and stuff. It's the hot and the cold. It kind of pumps the alcohol in and out of the pores of the wood.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
As those temperatures change. Okay. In Scotland, you don't have that. You just don't have that kind of range. It's not going to pull that much.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's
So-
mostly cooler.
Cooler. So it takes a longer time to draw those flavors out. Plus, they're using non-fresh barrels. They're using, they actually buy a lot.
They buy Jack Daniels.
Yeah, they buy a lot of bourbon barrels. I mean, that's one of the
true,
biggest,
actually, yeah.
biggest
Yeah.
because bourbon has to be done in a fresh barrel. They have to get rid of those barrels in the end, right? So who do they sell them to? The people who make scotch.
Why not?
Right. And
Why not? I mean, you see a lot of cross barrel scenarios
Right.
going on.
Now, as things have grown, as these things have matured, you'll see a lot more experimentation in the industry, right?
Yeah.
That's always going to happen.
Right.
It's a great thing. when
Which
it
is
happens.
really great, actually.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really great because if you stick straight to the rules, you're gonna all wind up producing.
No,
things
you
that
get
are
what you
very,
get.
Very similar.
Yeah,
to
you get what you get.
what you get, right? So when you get to start breaking out of those bonds and trying different things, you find some interesting things. I have a bottle of whiskey at home that was aged in chestnut as opposed to oak,
Okay.
which gives it a complete different
Right.
flavor.
That would be
Weird.
I will admit, it wasn't necessarily one of my favorites. Okay.
so. That would draw a completely different flavor,
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally different.
and it would be more. It would be more nutty.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely
Yeah,
had a.
it's gonna bring that nutty flavor in.
It also had a bit more of that bitterness, if you will. Like,
Yeah,
Think
'cause
about like,
chestnuts are definitely yeah.
So it wasn't my favorite. It was interesting to try, and I'm glad I tried it.
Right.
But again, that's one of those ones. How do you know whether you're going to like it? Unless
Yeah.
I happen to decide, you know what, I'm going to waste the money on it and try it. It's a good conversation piece if people come over.
Well, yeah, and that's so. I was telling the guys earlier. My wife and I bought a bottle of wine that was aged in a pine barrel,
Ooh.
and it tasted exactly like
like
you
that.
would think it would pine salt.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
That sounds
And
awful.
and it wasn't like it wasn't the worst wine we've had, but
Right.
it's not something I'd probably get again.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, I think the winery just probably did it as a lark kind of
Right.
thing. They just did it for fun. I'm not sure who thought it would be fun, but
Right.
it is what it is. But you don't get there if you don't experiment,
Right,
And that's the
exactly.
key.
Yeah, that's-
So I don't know if you've I don't know if you frequent Total Wine.
Wine,
anymore.
yeah.
Right. So they have this weird. I was there one time. I was like, I'm just looking for the blah blah blah, and then the guy goes, "You got to try Grangestone, right?" So Grangestone, it's a low end money wise. It's a low end whiskey. You taste it and you're like, this isn't all that. This is pretty good actually. So they'll have this special on it. You can buy a bottle for like $28.
Right.
It's ridiculous, right? So you buy this. Sometimes they're running a special. It's 23, and you're thinking, I'm buying a bottle of like 8-year whiskey for $23, and it's and then they have the sherry, they have the different barrels,
Barrel finishes. Yeah.
right? And so they have a different
Yep.
bottle, and they come in they come in the cardboard cask, and so they all have the different like colors.
Right. Okay. So you can tell them apart.
But then they have the 8, the 10, the 12, the 14, right? And then you're like, yeah. So the 12 and the 14 are like through the roof, like great taste, right? Eight's not bad. Eight's not bad at all.
Yeah.
But then you got the three, So then but then you got to take. All right, you got an extra one. All right,
I do.
all right. We're gonna flip to the surprise.
The surprise barrel.
Surprise. Yeah, I deliberately brought this.
No label.
No label.
This isn't some kind of trick, and
It is a trick, actually.
You've had to go,
It's a trick.
for some medical treatment.
No medical
I
treatment.
brought my EpiPen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
So you gonna introduce it?
I'm not going to tell you what it is until we've tasted it.
Oh, okay. So no introduction.
Yeah. So
It's a blind date.
it is a blind date.
All right.
It is a blind date. Now I'm intrigued to have Dave tell me what he thinks.
Scotch.
Yeah, Petey.
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 Lagavulin.
Crazy, right? Not bad. What do you think?
Big time Petey.
So it's good for a cigar, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Smoking a cigar.
Oh,
You're gonna hate me because this is my palate. Okay. And you can read about this if you ever want to, but there's those of us who
Can we read about your palate
Yeah,
if we
well,
want
you can
to?
read about other people
Wait,
having this similar
So
issue.
go to www.davespalette.com. No, there's no such thing. Or there might be.
There might be. I don't know.
Who knows? There might be after this, right?
You know how some people cilantro tastes like soap? Have you ever heard that one?
Oh,
Peaty scotches taste like Band-Aids to me.
really?
I can see that.
Huh, all right.
And it's a known
But this
thing.
is a really peaty scotch, right?
Yep. And
It's
I
a
taste
very peaty
Band-Aids.
scotch.
Like a Lefroy.
Yeah, it's like a Lefroy, yeah.
But it is smooth. It is smooth. There's a little bit of
Salinity.
smoky,
You get a little salinity on it too.
which I think, and this is one of those, I think, so we talk about wines and pairing wines with food, which, by the way, next month, we're going to be pairing Super Bowl food we're going to be pairing wine with Super Bowl food next month on January 20th, I think. All right. So if you want to know what wines to drink with your Super Bowl food, then tune into us, next month. But there are wines that you can drink standalone. Then there are wines that you drink with food. Period. You're not going to drink them standalone. So I feel like this is one of those that you're gonna. It's barely strong. There's a lot of flavor. There's a lot of.
There's
flavor.
a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this. So this is it is a Scotch whiskey.
A cigar is an excellency.
Anything that plays on the smoke. I mean, a good brisket. A good
Yeah.
southern smoke.
But you're not going to drink this independent, I don't think. Not normally, I think. Some of the other ones we've had. Yeah. But you're gonna drink, and that's the whole thing, right? So some things that you drink with food. Some things you drink without food.
I tend to drink things that I like even with food because there's a certain part of the memory of that food. Like I'll occasionally have a really dark red wine that would pair perfectly with a steak. And I can still sit on the couch with that and almost have that sensation come back to me because I've done it before.
Right.
So this would be the type of thing.
Oh, yeah, this would go well with a steak.
Yeah, but this would be the type of thing where if I've paired this with something before and I gain that kind of personal memory, I can then start to enjoy it by itself.
Oh man,
Without buying the steak.
Now Dave's getting into psychology, so that when he
This
drinks
is like
certain
after you
certain
have the steak dinner.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
This is definitely after. Yeah. This is why
it's just good, right?
you go to the ante room and you.
No, all right. Now, so the reason it's in its right
Yeah.
Flask.
is because It's actually the Kirkland,
Kirkland
brand,
brand.
from Costco, which is one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that it is a Scotch whiskey. It
Yep.
came from Scotland.
Yep.
So it was blended in Scotland. Costco bought it, labeled it Kirkland brand, but you can find some really good stuff there. Now this is one of the more harder flavors. Like there's a lot of flavor going on here. I mean, it's just a lot of flavor, and you wouldn't really necessarily. This isn't something that maybe or may not be your go-to, but when you're looking at it and going, okay, so how do I try something, right?
Yep.
So
This is the way.
this is
That's
the
the
way.
way you do it. Do you
I'll be
do you
honest-
know who distills it for Costco?
It's on the label, but yeah. So it's it's in Scotland. So
Yeah.
it's a Scotland distiller. So they'll on the label they'll tell you who did the distilling.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, if you buy the Speyside from them, I've got 4 or 5 bottles of their Speyside, 18, 20, 22, and 25-year-old Speysides, which is the sweeter, less peaty.
Yeah.
They're excellent, and they're like a $60, $70 price point.
Right.
They'll go, and if you try pricing out, we were talking before about age.
Yeah,
If you try pricing out at 20 years, good Speyside Scotch someplace at like Total Wine, you're going to pay like close to double that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And they are all very good. I mean,
So my point with that is that,
Right.
All right. So all of this, I'm not advocating Costco, but you can actually go there and get a good bottle of Scotch and not pay a ton of money for it because they bottled it or they didn't bottle it. So
right.
they labeled it, but it's still a good bottle of Scotch.
I will advocate for Costco in a lot of ways, in the sense that if you buy one of their Kirkland brand, not the blendeds, but if you buy
Right.
any of their their other stuff, it's usually of good quality.
Yeah.
Okay. It'll give you an idea if you haven't tasted anything on that line.
Right.
It'll give you an idea of what a decent quality version of that
Right,
is.
right.
So, like I just talked about Speyside Scotch as opposed to an Elay. Okay. And that'll give you an idea what the differences between a Speyside and an Elay are. The smokiness versus the
Oh, man.
the butterscotchness of the
Yeah,
Speyside. And it's good. It's a perfect way to find out about it because you're not going to get an 18-year-old Scotch, for that price point anyplace other than
It's
at something like
ridiculous,
Costco,
right? It is. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you went in and bought a 10-year-old Speyside from Total Wine at that same price point, you may not like it because a 10-year-old Speyside it just doesn't have the maturity. It doesn't have that depth. It doesn't have that kind of profile.
So we were talking, yeah. So we were talking about this earlier. When you're bringing something new to the table, right? You want to make sure that everybody likes it, right? And so we were talking about it earlier. Everybody who brought something here, they wanted to make sure everybody was going to like it,
Right.
right? And so they brought stuff that they like, and they figured, okay, so other people are going to like it. And I can tell you for a fact, there's not a single one that I've had today that I didn't like. But Costco's the same way. When they're bringing it to the table,
Yep.
they want to make sure that everybody likes it.
Yep.
If they're going to put their brand on it, they want to make sure everybody likes it. And that's why I'm not advocating specifically for
No,
Costco.
I
but,
understand.
but on the other hand,
Yeah.
you could,
But
you
have
don't.
a good value and
The-
good taste.
That's
Right.
that, and that's the point. You don't have to pay a
No.
ton of money for something that actually tastes good.
Yeah. One of my, it's kind of a little off the topic right now, but one of my favorites at Costco is if you ever try their cognac.
Cognac, vodka.
Yeah, their cognac it's like $48 is ridiculously
Yeah, which is and it's cheap.
right.
For cognac.
48.
Ridiculous.
It's
good.
It's ridiculously good for
ridiculously cheap.
$50.
And that's the point, right? So, and by the way,
Yeah.
that's the point of all our podcasts
Right.
is we want to do things that anybody can do.
Right.
We're not, that, and you may think $48 is a lot, but $48 for a cognac is like 5 bottles of wine.
Right.
So you're paying $48 in equivalent. Okay, so if you're paying $15 a bottle, let's say you're paying that cheap, you're paying $15, and you can buy a good bottle of wine for $15. That's $75. So you've just paid $15, or for a bottle of wine versus $50 for 5 the equivalent of 5 bottles. So it's actually cheaper
Right.
in some ways, but the whole key is that you're not going to drink it all in one shot. Well, you shouldn't.
No,
I'm not advocating that. You shouldn't. But if you're going to sip and you're going to enjoy and you're
Enjoy
just
responsibly.
enjoy response. Thank you for picking up on
There
that
we
because
go.
the public service announcement
Yeah.
comes out again. But if you're going
Getting
to
in the end.
if you're gonna drink and enjoy, you want to enjoy it, but you're not going to overdo it.
Right.
Because in excess, you can almost like almost everything is bad in excess. So when you're looking at it and going, okay, so I want to have a good bottle of bourbon. I want a good bottle of scotch. And it could be vodka. It could be anything, any distilled liquor. You keep in mind that when you combine that to other alcohols, it's actually not. It's comparable in
Right.
in price.
In price, right.
And so when you buy that, you can still have fun and you can still enjoy life. And so
I think the key is one, understand what it is you like and what you don't like. Okay, just because you pay more doesn't mean you're
Right.
going to like it that much more. Okay, there's all different flavor profiles, there's all different styles, and there's all different marketing techniques, right? So like I see the bottle of Weller over there. Okay, that's made by the same people who make Pappy Van Winkles.
Exactly.
okay? And that's the price point on that is 1/10 the price point of Pappy Van Winkles. It's not 1/10 the flavor. It may not be equal, but it sure as hell isn't only 1/10.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
80% of the way there, I think. with
Yeah.
that, okay.
and that is
Value.
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And therein lies, okay, so when you get to a certain point and you can say, okay, I want to afford a bigger
Right.
flavor and a smoother flavor, then you do that. But until then, you work your way to that. And
right,
but you can still have fun even still.
I mean, I told you I have like 30 bottles at home. They range anywhere from like the $18.99 bottle of Evan Williams Green Label, that I'll use for mixed drinks and stuff, which actually isn't even that bad by itself.
right.
I mean, I'll take that
Yeah.
any day over a Jack Daniels.
By the way,
Okay.
I'm free tomorrow, by the way.
And I've got a couple. I mean, I've only gone up to 100, 150 maybe at the max.
Which
okay?
yeah, I mean you don't have to get
Right.
crazy.
You don't have to get crazy. I mean, a lot of people will think that's crazy, and I understand that. Don't get me wrong. I'm I'm lucky enough that
Random dog here.
that I can do that. But my go-to bottle, believe it or not, is the Elijah Craig single barrel.
Yeah.
Which is like $28.99.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
really good stuff.
Good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like every time somebody asks me, like, I want to get into bourbons, but I don't know what I want. I don't. I've drank Jim Beam. I'm like, go spend $28.99 on the.
So that's the
Right.
key, right? Elijah Craig is what real people do. Grangestone is what real people do.
right.
Yeah, and it still tastes good.
Yeah.
So they used to call it rot gut.
Right,
You guys are old enough
Oh,
to
yeah.
remember when they called it rot. They still do,
I know
by the way.
what rock gut
But
is, too.
Oh,
yeah,
there's rock gut
but-
still.
yeah,
Trust
but,
me.
yeah,
They
rock
think-
cut
they
exists,
think-
so it exists. But the point is, you don't have to buy that,
Right.
And have fun and spend more than you would if you bought a bottle of wine. I mean, for crying out loud, you go into the city and you start buying, you buy mixed drinks, you're paying $18 a shot.
Yep.
You pay 3 mixed drinks and you bought one of these bottles.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought that when you started with the Basil Hayden,
That's
you guys started with a bar.
we
really
started
Right,
yeah, but we started with and that's a
Then
standard
you
in the
went to the
industry.
Japanese.
Yeah,
one then.
yeah, that just went crazy. It went crazy from there. But all right, so we've spent too much time here.
Sorry
but
about that.
no, not you. In general. But we've actually gleaned a lot of really good information from Dave. I know his name.
That's Mike, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, Mike. That's the third time, fourth time. All right, but yeah, we've gleaned a lot of good information from drinking this. I hope you guys have had a good time with us. And as you can tell, people have floated in and out. That's how these things work. It's a bourbon whiskey distilled liquor tasting. So we've done a lot of stuff here, and we've got Gabriel, the host. He's coming in to get the Wellers again. It's all good. And yeah,
Leave
and so
leave that here.
we're
Just take a look.
we're gonna sign off actually. All right.
Cheers, people.
Cheers.
Hey, this has been a great time. It's been so much fun. And I hope you guys have had as much fun as I have, because it's been crazy from everything from having Kirkland brand whiskey to knocking like stuff off the table with the third mic earlier. You guys didn't see that, but it's been great. So, hey, thanks for joining us. This is Journey More Often, and we're going to be doing an American wine journey tasting with Ben Cody of 1723 Vineyards next month. So join us there. And in the meantime, enjoy life. Journey more often.
Thank you.